Oh, okay. I know what's going on. Give me 1 second.
Cool.
I don't normally use Zoom.
Oh,
That's
right.
why. But I know how to use it. I haven't used it for like forever.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, you're
Okay,
here.
great. How does this Zoom thing work? Is it just you and me?
Well, usually I do at 7:30 my
30
time.
your time. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you want to spend time with your sons. That's amazing. Let me go live on Facebook too.
Okay.
So people know we on. Cool. Yeah, so I've been doing this a few times and it feels rewarding. So I keep doing it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I saw what happened with Willie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because to me, I was like, what is he doing down in Texas, buying something in Texas, And it was only like a week or two ago, right? That you had him on.
Yeah, yeah, I had him on. And one of the local investor in Austin got connected to him. And he solved the problem. So the deal's, done. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
need to match people together, different skill set. And
Willie's like one of my most interesting people I ever worked with. Yeah. Because
interesting.
yeah, like yeah, if you really get to know Willie, he's really interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because when I first met him, he came out to my event very early on, and at the end of the event, people would like always disappear because they go home or whatever. But he
Mhm.
always hung out, and then somehow I would always go out to eat with whoever I go out to eat with. But then next thing you know, I see him there too, and I'm
Mhm.
like, months later, I'm like, who is this guy? Like how did he get like how why is he here? Like how is he always here? And then I just let him tag along, and like he just always was trying to be helpful,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, he became like a regular where I'm like, where is Willie?
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome because that's how it works in this
Yeah, yeah.
business. You just need to keep doing it, right?
Yeah, yeah, but he did it in a way where it was like, because I normally just like to hang out with my circle,
Mm-hmm.
of people, but he did it in a way where it was like I didn't mind him being there. And
You
then
don't mind him being there?
yeah, yeah, and then next thing you know, he became like really someone I wanted to be there, and we would always
Yeah.
joke around and we would always have a blast, and it wasn't the
It's
same
kind of
without
like
him.
he's showing up. He's one of the people who's showing up, right?
Yeah, yeah, he shows up, but he also executes, like, because a lot of people, I agree, like there's a saying, I think like 90% of the battle is showing up,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's not that much more. It's just like 10% that executes. And I talk a lot. I mean, I meet a lot of people. I do a lot of education. I talk a lot, and um, people will show up. People will, but they don't execute. They don't do like the last part, And Willie, he really executed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he learned through like yeah, because he would ask me questions, and then I would ask him the question back differently.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't try to give people the answer, only the people that like I really like, I try not to give the answer. The reason why is because I want them to think, to
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. Um, and he's one of those guys that like that got it, and he became really successful at his game. But if you really know Willie, like he's one of the craziest guy, because he would go on vacation, and he would just get the flight, but like he would not get the hotel room, and he would figure out how to get hotel stay the day that, like, as he's there every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, dude, you can only do this because you're single. You have no I mean, he has a daughter now, but back then it was just him by himself, and he would rug it out, and so
Mhm.
he's had a fun life or a fun
Yeah.
few years I met him. Yeah.
Mhm. That's awesome. Yeah. So, Min Jae, hi, Min Jae, welcome.
Hi,
Hey, how are
How
you?
you doing?
good. How are you guys?
I'm
Doing
great.
well. Doing well. Yeah. Thank you for joining. So, yeah, this is the Monday Real Estate Talk series, and my name is Sophie. I'm the host, and I had a pleasure of having Nick Tang on the talk today. And he's my mentor back in New York, New Jersey. And I remember, Nick, you say that like after that, like I think I met you again. I was like, still do the mentorship thing, and you're like, people don't execute.
Yeah. Yeah. I love mentoring. I love teaching. I love mentoring, and it's it's. I went as far as there was a period of time when I would hand people properties. I'm like, here's the property. You just buy it. Because
Mhm.
remember, even in our mentoring, I had properties that I just presented to people.
Yeah,
And I think
you did. Yeah.
Singh was like the only person that like, came really close. Like he came to the last minute and he didn't execute. And then I think I don't know, like 6 months later or something, like COVID came around,
Mhm.
and that property like went up
Mm.
like crazy. But it's like it's it's scary, and I understand that it's scary because you don't know if the
You
market's
don't know
going
what you
down or
don't
not.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It depends so much on the market. Yeah, but before COVID, I think like every time we went to your real estate meetup is where we learned so much, me and Son. And uh, and that's like where we started. And every, I think, Sunday, yeah, we
yeah,
went to New Jersey out to um, learn from you in a co-working space.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was I remember those days.
Uh-huh. And then we learned how to analyze deals for the first time. And I think we both, me and Son, started out in Oklahoma market, which is really cheap to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then COVID hits and things like that. But we've been doing some deals in Oklahoma, and Son since then moved to Oklahoma and now have a big portfolio there. And now I'm in Austin, having my own portfolio. So, like you create millionaires with your mentorship.
I think I'm just like every other guru. I think like once you do it long enough, your goal is really just to share what you know.
Mhm.
And you're trying to solve the problem of like how do I just get people to execute, because it's not more information that people need. It's the fear of
Yeah.
like just, hey, actually doing it, so let me ask you, I think this is better. This is almost like an interview where it's like I should be interviewing you, it's like,
Oh,
so how did you decide Oklahoma was the place to start, right? And then yeah, so tell me that first, and then because that's really far from where we
oh,
were.
now, yeah. So we have me and Son, we have a high school friend,
Okay.
and she's in Oklahoma at that time. She has around like 100 doors at a time, a couple of mobile home parks, and a bunch of like small multi. So we went, and the thing is they have their own team of construction people.
Hmm.
And like they structure a deal in the way that like, okay, we do all the work, we bring the deal, do all the work, you are the uh, you are
Investor.
the investor
So it's
side of it.
turnkey. It's
So
turnkey.
kind of like turnkey, and then you
Yeah.
you can tag along learn all of this. They estimate and analyze the deals, and it's making maybe $15,000, and then we can split half. So
Okay.
we coming in with the money, down payment, whatever, 150, maybe $120,000 for one house. And then when we flip, we sell it for 170 or something. And then we put, some money in for rehab. So we all in like 40K, 50K. It's an easy amount to put in. And then when we sell, it's bread and butter market. So always there's a buyer with FHA loan, and we make 7-8K out of it.
Yeah.
It's not much, but the whole process help us understand things. And we went out to foreclosure auction, where we see people bidding on foreclosure house, and we drive around, do the same thing that they're doing. And then Son keep doing that. Son kind of keep doing that and acquiring rentals through that, and doing Airbnb with that and all of that. But I kind of took a different way.
Wait, before you go there, let me just make sure I get the story straight. So it was so basically what I'm hearing is the property was like 115, and then you have to put in like renovations, and then you end up selling it for like a net profit of like $14,000 to $15,000 more. But your initial investment, your investment itself was like 40,000, because you just have to put up the down payment and then the cost of renovation. Is that correct?
Right.
So my question to you is it because it was a smaller amount of money, like 50,000 in a way, that made it easier for you to get involved? The only reason why I ask, because I'm trying to figure out what the solution is so I can help other people. You know what I mean? Because for us, like, I didn't know I could get someone excited at investing 40,000 to make, like, let's say, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, But if I'm looking at it, that's potentially a 20 to 25% return on investment.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if, because the barrier to entry was low, and because it's low, and because there's no really responsibility from you other than the capital investment, that made it easy for you to get in,
Yeah, but also like the title is in my name, right?
Okay.
Everything in my name. So they kind
So a
of,
loan. So you're also getting a loan, right?
I get a loan in my name as well.
Okay.
They have the equity in it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like we close friends, so we like trust based mostly.
Yeah.
And they handle everything. They sold the property as well.
Were they
So
realtors as well on there?
yeah.
Okay. Did you guys split the realtor side of it as well, or is
No,
that
they take
that's
the
like a third
realtor
party? Okay,
Yeah, that's third party, but now she's a realtor herself.
I understand.
So
I'm only asking because I'm trying to figure out
yeah,
if I should
but I
model
think
that.
yeah, you can model that. Like I think a lot of people do that. It's called, I don't know, turnkey investment. I think like there's a lot of groups in different market doing that, right?
To what a word, turnkey is something else. Turnkey is more like I will sell you like we would identify a property,
Yeah.
and then you tell me you like it, and then I would do the renovations for you, and then I would stabilize it for you at a certain price. Like we would decide this all in advance, and then you would be the end buyer. That's versus what you're telling me. It's you're buying it. They were more like a turnkey fix and flip
Yeah, fix and
partner.
flip deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is something I've never heard of. Now
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different because the turnkeys I've seen has been always hey, cash flow.
Rentals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I never seen it based off of fix and flip.
Yeah, and also the commitment is short because you're gonna
Yeah,
sell.
in and out. Yeah, it's not a. It's
Yeah.
like if you don't like each other or if something didn't go well, you would the relationship would only last as long as the deal is around, right? So it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be a long-term marriage, and then you do
Mhm.
that enough times, you get comfortable.
Yeah, and you just can do it one, and then you feel like you're comfortable because the first
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
is the hardest. You don't know how
Getting
it
to know
works.
each other. Yeah, like even though
Yeah.
you're friends, the process has to be known. Okay,
Yeah.
and then once you do one, you're like, oh wow, this works. I made my money. I didn't have to do anything. Let's do two next time. Let's do three next time. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, that's how it works. I think Son keep pulling money together and flip with them. Hey, Son's on the call too. He just joined.
Oh, I can't. Oh, you know what? That's right. That's why. That's why I'm not seeing it. There we go.
Yeah, and yeah. Hey,
I can't hear him. He has mute.
can hear them.
Yeah. You have mute on. There we go.
Yeah, I just enter a place for dinner, so we just bring you to the dinner with us.
Thank you.
So we
She
put
was
on the
telling me-
headphones so you can listen to you.
She was telling me how you were doing, how you got in the game down there with her in Oklahoma.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
started, Son. But our
We're
first
very
deal,
excited. Yeah.
our first deal is a wholesale deal that we got in foreclosure.
Okay,
Mhm.
wait. So you partnered on this, right?
Yeah, me and
And it was a
Son
turnkey.
partnered on that.
Okay, so you guys so it was turnkey too. So it was at the sheriff's sale or something, and then you
Yeah,
guys.
It
sheriff
was a
sale.
sheriff sale.
Okay, so tell me the story. I want to hear it.
It's just a wholesaling deal. It's not wholesaling. So we
Okay.
just bought from the sheriff sale and we intended to renovate it, and then we want to flip it. But then before we could have flipped it, someone really, oh, I want to buy it back from you guys, and we just okay, here the contract, just buy it, and we make just 4,000 on that.
Okay, so it was
split-
quick.
Split, yeah, very
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
within like a few days. We didn't even close it.
Yeah,
So
that's
3
awesome.
we
days.
make
Yeah.
like 2,000 each on that. That was
Yeah,
our
yeah.
very first deal.
How much was the earnest money for it? Because you had to do
8,000, I
Yeah.
think.
8,000. Okay, so you put down 8,000 and you made 4, so that's like a 50% return.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
3 days or
Within 2
something.
weeks.
Like 3 days.
3
Yeah,
days,
yeah.
yeah, 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
I know what that's like. I know what that's like. So was that the very first deal? And then from
Yep.
Yeah.
okay, but wait, I know that was the deal you both did, but was that the very first deal you did in Oklahoma?
Yeah,
Oh, that was the very first. So you guys went to the sheriff's sale
together with our
and-
friend. Yeah.
Okay, so your first deal, you went to the sheriff's sale and you bid there. And did you guys have to pay her?
No,
Him?
no, she helped us through the whole process without, getting anything on it. And
Okay.
we partner with her on
The second one. right?
those, yes,
Yeah.
second, third one.
Okay. Okay.
So we learned all the knowledge from New York and from
Yeah,
you
yeah.
and New Jersey and all that, but we could never make the deal in New York. We nearly bought a duplex or triplex in the Bronx,
Yeah.
but the deal
Bronx,
didn't
yeah.
go through.
The numbers in our area are so big. It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. That's awesome. So once you did that first deal, you became addicted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then you're like, let's do another one and another one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let
So
me
now-
ask you guys, did what I share with you, like, what can you tell me what I share with you that was like, if anything, that kind of like help you along the journey?
Like I told everyone that we pay for the mentorship, and we are cheap, so me and Sophie and I share the mentorship in half. So thanks for
that's
that.
awesome.
You accepted us on that, but that was a basic thing that the backbone of real estate we learn from you, and we still apply that knowledge from the beginning to now. That take the rent minus all the expenses, and that's the
Yeah,
NOI
yeah.
that you have. And
So you guys follow that? Yeah.
yeah, we keep analyzing in the very beginning, like we keep analyzing. Can we make this deal, and try the what if analysis? What if we cannot make it? What if the rent is this? What if the rent is that? And then we finally make the trigger and all. Yeah.
That's awesome. So that deal that you guys did, the first one, like was that initially gonna be a hotel, or was that gonna be a buy and hold?
No, it was gonna be a flip, right, son?
Okay.
Mhm.
Fix and
Yeah, we
flip.
intended to do a flip, but
Okay.
we have to wholesale it. Yeah,
Got it. That's
it's called
awesome.
wholesaling.
Yeah. So it was in good condition, right? It was good condition.
Yeah, the owner was in that house, and somehow they got foreclosed. So they
What?
so they went to a hot money loan person, and they want to buy back that house, and that hot money loan company want to buy back from us and sell to them. So look around that.
Wow, that's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. But
Well, I'm
everyone's
glad-
happy because he stay in the house. The hot money makes some money, and we make some money, and everyone's
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
And so that was your story. That was the first deal. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks to all the knowledge, you're our very first mentor and in the real estate industry. And thanks to all those basic knowledge, and now we are in Oklahoma City in the East, and Sophie is in Austin.
Yeah.
We are like making a lot of progress. So we make like over 100 doors in Oklahoma City now.
No, I've seen that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I heard that you guys were going that direction, I'm like, what is going on in Oklahoma?
Nobody knows. It's
Yeah.
it's an under market.
Yeah, underappreciated market. Yeah. I mean, I've been hearing it, but I'm like, I don't know anybody there. Am I gonna fly there? Am I gonna build out a whole thing? And I'm like, how are you guys doing this? And then now
during the
Sophie-
time that people buying 1% rule, here you can
Yeah.
make 2% rule.
Yeah.
And now the deals are still here, like the 2% or 1% still here.
I mean, I was talking to some friends about that rule, and like because the rates are the way they are now, it's like you have to buy minimum at like 1.5% rule
Yeah.
just to break even.
Yeah.
And good luck finding a 2% rule in like the metro New Jersey area,
Mhm.
but I'm glad that you guys had, like, in a way, someone to help there,
Yeah.
and the fact that that person existed, and then you guys went there, made some quick money, and because you guys did it, you did it again, you try it again, and then next thing you know, you now have like 100+ doors, which is awesome in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember like when I taught you guys, or when I shared like, like in about 2-3 years, you could have like 50 doors. It's if you just follow the Burr method, in like 2-3 years, you can have 50 doors, and it's very hard to believe. But you
Yeah.
like you're both examples.
Well, I don't have that many doors.
Don't worry, Sophie. It's because you don't want it yet.
She does on a big deal, so yeah, each door is cost more for her.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a different game, right? It's like, is it a door game, or is it a profit margin game, right? Meaning you're trying to get more profit, or you're trying to get more doors. It's a balancing act, Yeah, like because you can have a lot of doors. You can have like 1,000 doors, but they're only netting you like $50 each. It's very different than a big
Yeah.
transaction that's netting the same amount.
And then the appreciation game too. Like in Austin, it's much better than Oklahoma.
Yeah,
You can double or triple in a few years.
I think something's gonna happen though. But you know what the game is like? You never know. It's like you just
You
play,
never know.
and
Yeah.
and then as long as it cash flows, and then next thing you know, some big company moves in, or some industry moves in, and you just get the wind of that. You can't predict it,
Nick, I remember that time. I think all of the things you teach, the how to evaluate the deal, how to analyze the deal, all that was really helpful but the mindset was, I think the mindset was the most important thing, because at that time, like we couldn't imagine. So we couldn't imagine like that happened, right? It's like, oh, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
It's almost like too good to be true, you know? The numbers that you share, and we're like, the number that Nick shares, like, oh my God, too good to be true. Is it that easy in real estate? Like, you know, because we never experienced that. So, and then all the people outside real estate right now look at us as like, oh, they make money that easy. It's not easy, but it can be true, right?
If you dedicate, you devote all your time there, then you can make it. Yeah.
What I've learned, I've experienced what's called like moments I call like that are too good to be true a few times in my life. And the first time I think was when I learned how to wholesale a house. You know, where I had to only put up like $100 to lock up a deal, and then I made 50,000. And I'm like, before that point, I thought it was like a scam, too good to be true. And so it was not something that I could believe was even possible. And it's not that scary to put up 100. It's just like, am I wasting time chasing some sort of like sale or scam, you know, and then you're gonna just not make it. So it's like you're wasting time. But after I experienced that, I started asking the question, whenever I see something that's too good to be true, what if it is true? And then I really looked at it closely, like, okay, what is the real risk? And is that risk really that big? And if it's not that big, I'm gonna go for it. Because what if it is true? Because if it is true, it could be life-changing. You know, and ever since then I stopped. Like I love the too good to be true things, because there's a way to kind of like remove the risk or identify the risk clearly and remove it. Because like, oh yeah, it's only $100. Like, why is it so, why was it so unbelievable to give it a shot? You know what I mean? And so ever since then, I've experienced many others, and you will as well, because now you are not afraid to look at things that are too good to be true. You know what I mean? Because a lot of we're raised to not believe things that are too good to be true. But the reality is, on the other side, sometimes it is true. And we just pass on it. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah. So, oh, hi, Kathleen. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Sophie. Hi, guys. Thank you for the invite.
Hey, Kathleen, how are you?
Hi, good. Nice to meet you guys.
Kathleen is in San Diego. Min Jae is in Austin. Son and Nick is in Oklahoma, and Nick is in New Jersey.
Yes.
Oh, wow. We've got the whole coast all covered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. And Nick was one of my first mentor, one of the person to teach me how to analyze a real estate deal.
Awesome. He's so young too.
I look young.
I think you're like
I'm
younger
40.
than me.
I'm turning 42 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So young.
I guess I'm just fortunate because I don't have that much stress. So I know how to manage stress really well. Yeah. And that is, don't let it bother you. That's really it.
So you're in New Jersey?
Jersey City specifically, yeah.
Jersey City. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing with us your information.
Anytime.
Yeah. I plan to interview Kathleen too. Kathleen have more than 10 years investing and specialize in second notes, right, Kathleen?
Second mortgages? Okay, yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Min Jae, you have a question?
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So my question is, so Sophie knows this a little bit, but so I'm pretty young and I'm not an investor myself. I actually bought my first house pretty recently this year. But I have been learning a ton about real estate investing. And my question is more on sort of like the mindset side of things and just like goal setting. When you guys all started this back in the day, like did you guys set specific quantifiable goals? And now, like for a lot of you guys on the call, I think you guys are full-time real estate investors. So what has kept you keep going, and has that goal sort of like changed over the years?
So I can tell you my perspective on goals. For me, it was more like a game, meaning like I wanted to see if the first thing I did was I wanted to see if it was real, you know, because I saw my friends make money in it, and I was like, okay, if my friend was able to make money in it, let's see if I can just repeat the process. I didn't even know how much money I was going to make from it. But I ended up making about 50,000. I ended up making 50,000 cash on my first transaction, and I only like spent $100 and I made 50. And with second mortgages, I did that as well. On my second mortgage transaction, I spent about 5,000, and we bought a bunch of notes. We bought like notes for like 5 cents a dollar, even less. And as soon as we bought it, we sold it. We sold half of it, and we sold half of the portfolio that we bought, and we broke even on it. And then the other half we got it performing, and we made like I think 50,000 to 100,000 from it. This was like 10 years ago. And so for me, it was just like, hey, can I repeat the process? It wasn't like, oh, am I trying to maximize the dollar on it? It was, can I repeat the process? And is there a way to mitigate as much risk from the opportunity as fast as possible? And when I say mitigate risks, what I meant was like with the note example, we bought a package of like 5,000 worth of notes, and we sold half of it as soon as we can within like a week, just to break even. So that way, at worst case, if it doesn't even work for us, we wouldn't be out any money. And then afterwards, once we know it worked, we amped it up by, identifying bottlenecks to the process. For me, for the flipping house business, I wholesale my first deal afterwards, and I identified, okay, how did I got the deal? How do I scale that? And then can I do it again, and how fast? And can I speed it up? And then, so it was never like based on how much I can maximize in terms of money. It was more like how fast I could repeat the process and make it a predictable business, or make a predictable process. That's my answer.
Very cool. Thank you.
I mean, Sophie, Sonny and Kathleen, I'm sure they have different perspectives on it as well. I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, Minjae, you asked about goal setting, and is there any like a SMART goal to it, right? When we're starting out.
Yeah.
So for us, kind of like just to get our first deal done. Like my goal and son's goal is like trying to get our first deal. So we're looking to foreclosure and stuff, and we're looking to the Bronx. We're looking at Philadelphia, right, son? We drove out there, and then we tried to make like, first deal done. So I think, Minjae, you just bought your first house, but you got like house hack it and that, right? We also house hack our rent in New York, because we were renting a big house and then like rent out the other rooms on Airbnb and kind of like live free in New York City before we get into our first deal. But we want to really do deals. So that was our goal to start with. Whatever like make money in real estate at that time, which we think wholesaling and flipping to start with. But at that time was a different environment. Can I ask Kathleen? Kathleen, what would you do now in this environment?
Yeah, so it's interesting right now. And Sophie, you're right. It depends on the environment that you're in, right? Because real estate investing is very broad, and there's just so many shiny objects, and you can make money in pretty much anything. The question is, which one do you want to focus in on, right? So in real estate, you have the passive, the real, truly passive investing, because being like a landlord, buying properties and renting it out, it's still not truly passive because you still have to work at it. So passive investing is very different than active investing. And so depending on how much time you want to dedicate towards real estate investing is going to determine which route you're going to go. And so for now, for me, I find it very hard to do fix and flips. I used to do it a while back when we had that, that recession, that crash, and we were buying short sale properties and fixing them up and flipping them. But that was, 10 years ago. Now you can still do it. There are a lot of people that do wholesaling, but it's just a little bit harder to find. There's way much more competition. So for an investor right now, it's a little bit difficult to try and determine what route to go. So mindset wise, Sophie, she nailed it. I would say just find something that you like and partner with someone if you're not, comfortable with it yet, and just move forward. I think you're going to learn the most when you're actually taking action. And you partner with someone that knows what they're doing so that you don't lose too much money, right? Or you can do it on your own, but then you risk not knowing what you don't know yet. So I would say find a good partner, whoever that you get along with. Sophie and I just became partners just very recently because we like each other's personality more than anything. And then we were going in the same direction, which is towards multifamily. So
yay.
Yeah, so hopefully, we'll continue in that route, but find someone that you like, partner with them, get a smaller piece of the pie, because it is, how your percentage of what you're getting is going to be based on how much money you bring to the table and how much experience you bring to the table. So be realistic about that and just get your first deal done.
Thank you. Can I ask where, like region wise, you guys are doing the multifamily?
Yeah, so we are doing ours in Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
But you can do it anywhere that makes sense, right? Anywhere that the numbers make sense. Now Nick is saying, or Son is saying Oklahoma, so we may look into Oklahoma. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, Chloe. We have Chloe Huang here as well. She's from New York. Chloe Huang. Yeah.
So she's Nick's neighbor.
Right.
Yeah. And I love that, like at a time we didn't know anything about mindset, Nick. And then I think like if I were Min Che right now, we talk about mindset and she'll be like, what mindset even means? But it's like everyone have their own personal journey into real estate, and sometimes they just need to take their time to slowly, ease into it from the first house that they live in, and then some people become landlord, but they don't want to be a landlord, and then eventually they should get into it. But people who can take risk, I would say, is more like start faster. Like people that risk adverse, they can make a decision to move on to do the first deal.
So I think that's a very important point, and it's based on your risk factor. So with real estate investing, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket and and only do deals or use the funds that you're willing to, you know, have a little risk on, because there's nothing that's guaranteed, right?
I would also add, like, there's ways to minimize risk, and kind of like back to what I was saying about how I did my first deal. The biggest risk was really $100, you know, and but when you invest a little bit amount of money in terms of risk, there's more time. It involves more time. So at that time, I was going to college and I had time. So $100 wasn't a lot, but it was, for whatever reason, I didn't believe it was something that was real or possible, because it was like the concept was just too good to be true. Even when I got into second mortgages, a friend of mine, he came and he was like, he actually bought a property from me before I would even listen to him, because I meet a lot of people. They always try to sell me ideas and business opportunities. So I don't really, you know, and I already have something that's going really well. So it's very hard for me to like want to listen. But he bought a property from me and he was like, Nick, I got to introduce you to something. It's second mortgages. And I'm like, well, what if the first is foreclosing, you know, like, and all this stuff. And he's like, look, no, we go after second mortgages where the first is not foreclosing, you know. And I'm like, okay. And then, so I was like, so what do you, I asked him, so how do you want to do it? And he's like, look, just give me a small amount of money. We can try it out and I can show you how to do it. And then I'm like, how much? And he was like, it's $5. It was like so long ago. It's like 5 to 10,000, but we were buying them at like 5 cents to the dollar in terms of like the unpaid principal balance versus what we were buying it for. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know this. I don't fully understand the game, but if we were to spend like, let's say 5-10,000, how many notes can we get? And he said, this is how many we can get. And then I was like, can we sell, like, if I was to sell it right now, how much would we make? And he said that we would double our money at just face value, like without touching it, we could double our money on it. And I was like, so why don't we just sell half of it? So that was like my way of mitigating the risk, because that was my investment. And then from there, we can experiment on the other half, you know. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, you got to get into the game, and then as you get in, you're gonna learn how to mitigate risk, and you're gonna learn how to test the game. And then once you know the game is real and you have an idea of what margins are like, then you can start like doubling down on it and really scaling it. Because if you're not doing it yourself, you have to learn how to test your partner to know, like, hey, okay, I get the numbers make sense, but to me, like, I don't really know people or my partner until something goes wrong, you know. And so and it's not small things. Like, I want something big to go wrong, because when something big goes wrong, they react differently, and based on how they react, that's when you really know them. And it's not that I want that to happen, but that's when you really know somebody, you know. And so there's ways to mitigate it, and the goal is to set yourself up in a way where when something does go wrong, it doesn't really matter as much. And because it doesn't matter to you, it could go good or bad, but you get to know who you're working with.
Yeah, I think that's why, like, me and Son, we went in together that deal, and the worst that can happen is we lose $4,000 each.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it was a great experience, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you did it again, and then again, because and after every transaction, you get smarter, and you learn how to look at things even better. Because even after the first deal, I'm sure you thought, like, hey, maybe we could have sold it for more if we did this, and it would have been like the same time, same speed, but it's just because you didn't ask for something, you missed out on another like $2,000 or something like that. You know, it's like you get smarter. These are just examples.
Yeah, totally. That's why that's why when we invest in apartment, Kathleen, because the the timeline for an apartment deal is usually like 5 years, 7
It's
years.
5 year, yeah.
Yeah. We look to work with operator that want to do it quick, because people like if we get our money back and we rinse and repeat, because our knowledge is so different in 3 years or 5 years. We can do so much more with our money.
Right.
That's my thought process. But also like be on top of things is amazing, and it's so important in a big deal where there's a lot of moving parts.
I think there are always a lot of moving parts. It's more like which parts are really which parts do you really have to keep an eye on? Because when you do bigger transactions, it's not your real job to manage the individual doors. It's your operators that you work with.
Yep.
And if your operators are not on top of it, you can see it. And then you would just look for someone as a replacement to your current operator. But there's also a big, there's like a science to how to remove and replace an operator. It's not just like you're fired and then a new one comes in and they just take over everything as if it was an instant transfer. There's a process to it,
Yeah. It's yeah, it's different. It's sometimes it's crazy. Like now I have a new mentor.
Yeah.
Like I'm in multi-family group of Braxton Brock,
Okay.
and he was partnering with a management company to buy this complex, and now he kind of sold it, but he sold it to another entity, apparently like to one of his students, but also he still remain on the deal.
Yeah.
Because the deal's still good. He just don't want to operate it. He need the management company to be partner to operate it, or
Right.
a student who also a very good operator and run a management company to manage it. So he's still in the asset.
If you wanna like play, it's kind of like going back to little money versus a lot of money. Like, so right now I'm wholesaling apartment buildings.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm wholesaling storage facilities. And so the game there is it's just $20,000 to $40,000 to lock up a potentially $20,000 to $40 million deal. I mean, $20,000 to $40 million deal. That's the amount of money in terms of earnest money. And so like, for example, I'm doing storage facilities right now, and I have a guy that I work with where all he does is he calls every storage. He goes on Google Maps, he identifies storage facilities, and then from there he figures out who the owners are, and he calls every one of them, and he would try to identify the owner, try to see if they're interested in selling, and whoever says no, we ask, are they interested in buying? And a bunch of them will say yes. And from the baskets that say, yeah, they're interested in selling, we ask them for their performance numbers, the data, the metrics, and then we gather that. And this is how we started, by the way. And then we would send that information to the people that said that they wanted to buy. And then they told us what information that was necessary for them to make a decision, meaning because we didn't know what they wanted to see. But because we're sending them now potential deal information, they are asking us questions about that we don't even know to ask the seller. And then so we're getting smarter as we gather information for the buyer. And then I slowly linked up with a friend who this year alone, he did I think 3 to 4 deals already in terms of wholesale with multifamily. He's a friend out of Philadelphia. His first wholesale transaction was he made 300,000 on a storage
Amazing.
facility, and he sold it to a fund,
Mm,
and they gave him, so they paid him 300, and they also gave him I think like 5% equity. And then the second transaction, that was like in January. The second one he did, it was like in April, and he made 500,000. And so after that, I reached out to him, and I'm like, yo, I'm running into storage facilities. I'm doing with one of my friends. You want to come in as a partner and see you could help us move these properties? And so it's like, my point though is, it's like, there's a lot of ways to get into every game. Like you can even,
mhm,
you don't have to get into multifamilies and be an investor. You can
mhm,
be just the acquisition specialist, just
mhm,
identifying the deals and getting paid to structure stuff like how we're doing it with multifamilies
mhm.
and storage facilities. And
Is that
you
your
can get,
current focus? I'm
huh?
sorry. Is that your current focus right now?
My current focus is, like, I'm at a point where I'm trying not to do any work. I just want to hang out with my kids, and I just connect players. I just connect people. So like I got into the game because I talked to a lot of people, and I found someone that was doing cold calling storage facilities for an investment firm. And then I was like, yo, how do you do it? He told me how to do it, how he does it. And I'm like, what do you do with the deals your firm doesn't buy? I asked him that.
Mhm.
And he's like, we just throw it away. And I'm like, yo, why don't you talk to your boss and see if you can get permission to do something with me on it?
Mhm.
And 2-3 months later, he got permission. And then from there, I got him to do his normal job that he does. And I slowly identified, we slowly identified the basket of people that want to buy, and we slowly identified deal flow. And then I was like, you know what? Let's put some deals in a contract. Let's move this. Let's make this process move. And then I'm gonna bring in a mentor, because my friend who did already 3 to 4 deals on the storage facility business, uh, I reached out to him. I'm like, let's bring him in as a mentor and let him guide you through cutting the deal and also exiting the deal. So it wasn't
Mhm.
even something I was into it, but the thing is, I get to learn through just osmosis. You're just being there. I get to learn, you know.
Mhm.
And it's so that's how it worked. I, everything I'm trying to do now is like as little involvement for me at a personal level. I don't want to go see properties. I don't
Mhm.
want to even look at numbers. I just want to connect people that I know what they're doing together to
Mhm.
make it work.
Wait, 3 years ago, you were like, I don't even look at properties, but
Yeah,
I
that
just
was
look at
always
the
like that.
number.
Yeah,
I was looking at number. You were still looking at number. Now you don't even look at
I don't even
numbers.
look at it. Yeah, I don't even look at it. Yeah, because it's
Oh
a
my God.
game. It's a game. Like, look, it's a game of understanding. Okay, whatever money I put up, there's a period of due diligence, right? And by the time the due diligence window is close, I can ask them, hey, what's going on? Is this gonna happen or not? And if they say no, it's not gonna happen, then we can just exit, And so there's no risk if once you get the hang of how to play, there's no risk, you know.
Mhm.
You just have to know how to do the paperwork correctly, so that way you can't mess up.
Nick, if you need EMD money, let me know. We actually fund EMDs.
No, we have access to that. Thank you though. We have access. Um, it was never that was never the issue. It's more like I need more people that can play the game.
You need more buyers. You need more end buyers.
He has enough money. He just need people to do the work for him.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's
Like
what
I
it
don't need
means.
buyers. I need operators that will get opportunities. Like I need people that go get opportunity, and then from there we would move it to buyers or funds, that will buy it. Yeah, like I need
Mm.
more. employees or more workers.
Yeah, you need more people to work.
But like I don't like to do. I'm trying like as much of a trainer because I've been training people for the last like I would say like 12, 13, 15 years. I'm now more into like trying to find people that already are doing what they're doing, and then I work with them versus getting involved and teaching. Because when I get involved in teaching, then that involves a lot of time, and at the same time that requires me to be an expert, but for me, I like to now work with people where they have an idea of how to do it, and there's a way for me to work with them. To me it's like this. It's like imagine a one of those spinners, okay, that you spin.
The tops? They're called
Yeah,
tops.
the spinner tops, exactly, that you
Yeah.
spin, right? Like I look at mastery as a person that could save the top from spinning out without getting involved to the point where like it's gonna fall over. Meaning I try to not get involved until it hits that point. But then I've learned, so I try to work with people in that capacity where like, okay, if it hits that point, I'll get involved. But then I've been doing that for about like 7 years now. And I've learned that at times you actually want to see if the top will spin out of control. Because if you come in and save who you work with all the time, then they will learn that they can always rely on you to save them. But I've learned that at times you have to allow it to spin out of control. Meaning at times you have to be okay with losing money. So that way you see how they react, you see what they do. And I've learned that I know how to, like there's a certain amount of money where I'm okay with losing just to see how my guys that I work with or people I work with handle things. Because when you do lose, what you'll find is that the people you work with really absorb. It's either they really absorb what is they need to learn or they don't. And so yeah. So my point though is like, yeah, like today my game is more a game of working with people than trying to make money. The goal is to, of course, make money, but it always requires people to make it happen. And I don't think it's hard to make money. I think it's more, do you understand the people you work with well enough? And if you don't know them, how do you work with them to get to know them? So that way you're successful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think like in order to do bigger deals, you have to, or earn your time back. You have to work with other people.
Yeah, it's
You
a game
have
of
to
people.
partner.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's because deals are just numbers, and then from there it's all people, right? It's the partner you work with to manage the transactions, the people they hire to get their jobs, the other different jobs done. It's all people game.
Yeah, it's all people game. Yeah, I agree. And so what's your day-to-day look like when you just like to hang out with your kids and
Yeah. So my day, so people always ask me like, hey Nick, can we follow you around one day and just like see what your day's like? And I tell them like, my day is really boring, bro, because what I do is I have a crazy sleep schedule. Like I'm really irresponsible. Like I've been this way ever since I was in high school. And that's why I became an entrepreneur, because I always would wake up late and And when I say late, I'm like normally waking up at like 12 p.m. to like 2 p.m.
Wow.
And so my parents used to ask me like, or tell me like, you know, you can't do that because how are you going to get a job? How are you going to have a normal life? And they're right. And so for a long time, I tried to wake up to go to work, but I eventually always lose interest or get fired because I was just never there on time. But I was really always highly skilled at what I enjoyed doing. But regardless of the skill level, I didn't like working. And so that's why I became an entrepreneur. And since then, I eventually figured out how to make money. And so now what's my day like? It's exactly how it was when I was in high school. I still wake up at 12, I still wake up at 2. And it's great when my kids are at school because when they're at school, I can sleep. But then when they come home, like, and then so at 2, I would wake up. The reason why is because that's when I got to go pick up my kids, right? And recently I got kicked out of that job too. My son, he's like, Dad, you can't pick me up anymore. I'm like, why not? You know, and he's like, your car's too nice. All my friends look at it and he's like, I don't know if they're my friend. I don't know if my friends are my friends because they think we're successful or rich, or are they really my friend? You know, and I'm like,
Oh,
you know, and he's only 9. And he said that.
oh my
Right?
God, he's so
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is so smart. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drive a different car, or I'm gonna get, you know, your grandma or your auntie to pick you up instead. But like, so my day is typically I wake up, I used to be able to pick up my son, and then from there I would hang out with him till he goes to bed. You know, hang out with him playing computer games. Like with computer games, kids today, they love computers. I teach them how to. I taught my kids how to bot their video games. What that means is kids kids a lot of times they play video games to get their character stronger. They're not even playing it because the game is fun, but it's more fun and it's faster if their characters are stronger. And so they invest a lot of time developing their characters. Well, what I've realized is that the character development process is a very repetitive process. It's just the same thing over and over again. And because of that, you can program scripts that enable their characters to do what you want them to do over and over again to get them stronger. And so I got my kids into the game of leverage, where we would have like, if you go to my house, you would see we have like 20 computers, and each computer has a game running 24 hours a day where that character is doing the same thing over and over. And then whenever they want to play that game, they would log in and their character would be like overpowered. And then they play. And I got them into that because I wanted them to learn how to leverage. Right. And then like this past summer, I told them, look, guys, you guys got my 2 boys, they're 9 and 12. And I've been trying to get them into programming for a long time. Botting and programming are different because there's ways you can bot without programming. But they have botting down. They're like masters at botting now, but they still don't know how to program. And I'm like, look, since you guys are not as interested in programming, why don't we come up with a business idea and then we will hire people to program it? Okay, you can go on Upwork, you can hire programmers for like, you know, fractions to the penny, right? Like, I mean, fractions to the dollar. Like, I know how to program, and I would hire people just to get it done. And so I put them to the exercise of trying to build a business through that required programming without doing it. So like that's like kind of like my day-to-day thing. I love spending time with my kids and helping them do what they already want to do without doing it. Like, because they love playing video games. And I got them into like, hey, why don't we make video games? They love making the characters, but they don't like to program. And so they start hiring people to program.
You taught them to outsource the task.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, outsource what you don't like.
Yeah, what you don't like. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is the new knowledge? Like, I mean, we know you, me and Son started out, and we know you that you've been in the game for like, I don't know, 15 years
Yeah.
back then. And now almost 20 years now in real estate. And you want to talk about that life, but it seems like that life now is different. And what is the knowledge that you know right now that you didn't know 3 or 4 years ago?
So I would say, so I've been doing business since I was 18. And ever since I started doing business, in the beginning, it was like, I wanted to see if it was possible to make money without going to work. That was the start of my my business life. And I found that that was possible. And then at the age of 27, well, at the age of like 23, I lost all my money. I invested money, I made money, I got into business, and on every business I did up to that point, it always required money, my money, or some money that I had to put together, but it was always money. And then at the age of 27, age 23, I lost all of my money because I over leveraged my investments and things like that. At the age of 27, I learned something, and that was I learned wholesaling, and that taught me that there was a way to make money without any money. And since then, I've been, in a way, mastering that game. Once you get the hang of that game, you're gonna learn that if you can make money with no money, there's really no way to lose money. Because meaning, like, if you lose it, you can always make it again. You know, so it's like, in a way, the game now is how do you make money with money? And if you ever lose it, it's like, it's not a big deal. And the other thing is, like, at 27 is when I got into real estate. And I got into real estate because a friend of mine told me that you can make money in real estate with no money. And I didn't believe him, but I saw his life change. And once his life changed, I gave it a shot and it worked. And over the last 15 years, I've been in real estate. But today, I realized, or not today, like probably 2-3 years ago, I realized, like, I made a lot of money in real estate. I'm still making money in real estate, but it's not really something I actually ever fell in love with. It was just something that I got into because my friend made money in it and I ended up making money in it. It's not something I really love. You know, it's money's great, but the process of making it is not fun anymore, you know? And so the question is, like, what do I do now? And me right now, I look for more like, I just look for opportunities to make money with people in a way where, like, I'm not super involved. You know, like I got into the car business in 2021. I've always loved cars, you know, and I got into it same way, like wholesaling. I bought it. I met somebody that flipped cars. I gave him money. We flipped a bunch of cars. Next thing you know, we're flipping 50 cars a month, and we made a lot of money, you know. And it slowly built. It slowly went from a $2,000 car to $100,000 car, you know. So today, I think what I've learned is that there's a way to make money with no money. And there's also a way to make money without working and being involved. The way to make money with no money is that you have to just understand how to do paperwork. It's a mastery of paperwork, okay, and cutting a deal. And that's really it. If you get the hang of that, if you get that down, you can do it with anything. You can do it with storage facilities, you can do it with apartment complexes, and you can do it with houses. And then to make money without work is either you put up money or you have to understand how to work with people.
So relationship.
Not relationship. The word relationship is different because I don't rely. So this is a core belief I have, and that is I don't rely on trust. Okay, what does that mean? I don't rely on trust. What I mean by that is trust is something that's only exists until it is broken. Okay, we can know each other for a long time, and to me, time is not what creates trust.
Correct.
Okay. A lot of people value it that way, but I don't. The reason why is because that takes too long to get something going. You know, like I want to be able to meet a stranger, right? And instantly do something and then see how it is, versus getting to know them for a few years and then doing something. So how do you do that? You have to know how to do paperwork. You know, you got to do paperwork in a way where you understand what risk there is involved that you're putting up, and what risk you have to that you're okay with losing. You know, so like my first car transaction, I only had to put up $2,000. I put up 2,000, we made 4,000 in literally 24 hours. And I'm like, okay, let's do this again. You know, next thing you know, by the end of the month, we made like $20,000. And then from there, I went, okay, how do we step this up into bigger numbers? And by then it's like now, because I now made 20,000, I'm okay with losing the 20,000 because I didn't do any work. Do you get them? And then next thing you know, you have a bigger amount of money that you're okay with losing. But at the same time, after doing so many transactions in just a short period of time, you develop what's called a strategy because you get smarter. And so it's like you know where things can go wrong, or you can see when things are about to go wrong, or you can see you can handle things as it comes or becomes a problem. Like that to me is how I build trust. Like kind of like how you don't know someone until something goes wrong. I don't believe in trust. I just believe in process. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. And you believe in that person motivation, right?
Yeah. I mean, like motivation.
Maybe their character, I think, would also bring that to light. You know, you can.
It's very interesting, you know, because like I mean, you can normally read off right off the bat, like when you meet somebody. Because I met like this guy I met at the park recently, and I could tell he was like someone that I wouldn't want to work with, you know. So right off the bat, like if that's the case, then don't even start, right? Don't even. But if you don't know each other at all, right, and you have at least some faith that this person is gonna pan out with this idea, invest the amount of money that you think you're okay with losing. Okay, because for me, like this person that I met in my car business, I didn't know him or her at all. It was just a random neighbor. I've seen them over the last, like, I don't know, year, but I never really liked their family because they would always have parties and stuff like that, you know? And all the neighbors hated their family, right? And I was the only guy that was like, so I seen you drive a bunch of different cars. Like, are you in the car? Do you do cars? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, how much does it cost? And he's like, oh, I buy them really cheap because I work for BMW and I get to buy them really cheap. And I'm like, okay, look, next time you see a BMW you want to buy, let me know. I'll give you the money for it. And then if you flip it, and we make money from it, we do it again and again, and I'll give you all the money for it. And then the first transaction I did, it was only 2,000, so it wasn't that much. But as soon as I gave it to him, I'm like, I'm probably never gonna see this money again. You know, and I didn't care. But
so you bet on people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, it's kind of like I'm willing to risk money for time, right?
Mhm.
But our trust was built after, like, I would say like 20, I say someone really knows what they're doing after they do it 15 times. And so to me, I didn't really think he was someone that I never used the word trust. It's just I felt like he was reliable after we did 15 transactions.
Reliable. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So what is your current focus in your business? Like you just kind of like just play this game and then play your game as well, like
So,
with
right.
your kids and
Yeah, so like I have a lot of business opportunities right now. Like I have opportunity is not the issue. It's more like what do I want to do?
yeah, what is
know?
your focus?
Yeah. It's like, for example, like, okay, if the market continues the way it is, right? Meaning, very limited inventory on the market, prices keep going sky high, right? So like, if that's the case, what's the strategy, right? I mean, if that's the case, I have to continue investing in secondary and tertiary markets because primary markets are too competitive and overpriced to get opportunities in. So like secondary and tertiary markets are, to me, like where I live, towns like Trenton, communities like Mercer County, South Jersey, whereas primary markets is where I live, which is like North Jersey, Jersey City, things like that. And so for me, I think Oklahoma is a secondary or a tertiary city. And that's why you can find the kind of opportunities you're finding there. Primary cities are very different animals. There are deals there, but the battles take a lot longer time to win. And the opportunities are far and few in between. And then the next question is, okay, what if the market turns? Okay, if the market turns, how do I take advantage of that? Right? If the market turns, I got into the game in 2007 when the market was turning, right? It didn't turn yet, and it was about to turn. And during that time, I saw a lot of realty firms go out of business. I saw the agent count at realty firms fall from 100% of whatever it was to 80 to 70 to 60%. So they contracted. And I got into notes in about 2010, 2011, when the notes were like secondary mortgages were like amazing opportunities. Like you can buy them for the person I was buying it from, he was getting it for like 2 to 3 cents a dollar because he was buying it so many and so cheap. And then he sold it to us for 5 to 10 cents a dollar. And so what I'm trying to say, it's kind of like, okay, which direction do you think the market's going to go? And then from there, how do you make the bet? To me, I think the market's been going up for too long. It's been 15 years now. It's been going up. So there's sometime now, sooner or later, it's gonna have to turn. I don't know when. And so for me right now, I'm still playing the game I'm playing, which is buying in secondary and tertiary cities in New Jersey. But I'm not as active in the areas that I live, or North Jersey overall, primary cities. Outside of that, I am preparing for a correction. And so I'm just cashing up. I'm cashing up. I'm sitting around, hanging out. There's a saying where like it's like I always want my money working for me, right? But don't get caught up in that because money working at times like cash, there's a saying where it's called cash is king. Cash is king right now because rates are high,
Correct.
right? But cash is also king when the market corrects itself.
So what you're saying right now, you focus on piling up your cash.
Yeah, just hanging out,
Yeah, hanging out.
Because when rates were low before, okay, when rates were low before, that means if you have cash, okay, and we could make 8% return investing on that with that money, or 12% return investing that money. That means you should borrow money at 3 and invest, right?
Yep.
But now the cost of borrowing is 8-9%, and the investment opportunities are 8 to 9 to 12%. So the spread there is not worth it.
Yep.
You know, and so for me, also along with that, because rates are so high now, if you have cash now, you can take advantage of properties at better discounts.
Totally.
Because
Yeah.
versus before. And we're just starting, like the market is just starting to be where it is right now. I think I don't know when the correction is going to happen, but I'm just hanging out and I'm waiting for things to see how things play out. Like, I mean, if you look at Warren Buffett, I don't know, I looked at him like 6 months ago or something. He's sitting on like $100-something billion just hanging out, you know, and it makes you wonder, like, why is that money not placed? You know what I mean?
Usually
Why?
how much do he have? Like
Sitting. I don't think people sit around just with 100 billion just hanging out. Like, you know what I mean? It should be placed somewhere, making 10%, like even some sort of percent is what I'm trying to say, you know? And his game is an equities game, and the equities fluctuate really differently. It doesn't make like an ROI, you know, he does do dividends, but it's not necessarily the same. But to where the amount of money that he has sitting around is not a normal amount of money that he normally has. He normally has it placed. So yes, he is losing 20% return on an investment every year on that money. But I've been through the experience of buying things at 10 cents, 20 cents a dollar. And when you get the opportunity to buy things at 10 cents, 20 cents a dollar, and you have the cash to take advantage of it, you can buy a lot. You know, like remember when we were in the room and I was sharing you with the numbers, like you thought it was unbelievable.
Yep.
Right. But 10 years before that is when I got started.
Yeah.
And back then I was buying numbers at I was buying deals at about 30% to the dollar I told you 3-4 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So that's how crazy it is.
Yeah. And you think that it could be that crazy.
It can't be that cheap
soon.
Yeah.
And then that's why you're piling cash to wait for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know if that opportunity is going to come though, Nick.
It comes. It just comes in different, like it might not come in real estate, but it's going to come in something else.
Right. Maybe something else, but definitely not in the single family space like that we saw, you know, like 10, 15 years ago, right? Because everyone's holding on to really low interest rates right now. And when we bought it, and I think we bought it about the same time, maybe you started earlier, Nick, with the non-performing seconds, but it was because people were over leveraged and they were getting into deals that all they needed to do was had a social security number, breathe, and they got a loan.
But you can do that. But you can do that now,
right?
You can do that.
Yeah. So the ones that are suffering right now are the ones that just got their loan maybe a year ago, but before that, right, 2 years ago, everyone locked in at. I think the stats is like 70% of the people in the United States have mortgages under 4%. So if you have that kind of a number, the chance of them letting go of their home, it's very, very unlikely, unless of course they have they're going through a a divorce or something major with their family, but they're not going to let go of that house easily like they did 15 years ago. And so I don't see a massive amount of foreclosures happening at all. I was projecting that like 3 years ago, and that was a huge mistake. We were all waiting. We were all on the fence waiting for that correction, and it never happened. And the prices kept going up. And to this day, I think there's still a leveling of it, but I still don't believe we're going to see a massive correction, maybe 10% at most. And
so we saw a correction in crypto, right?
yes,
Crypto went down
crypto.
to 14,000 for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to understand, like, opportunity doesn't necessarily have to be from the same asset class. You know,
Yeah, right.
You just have to be open-minded to the fact that corrections do happen, and as long as you're flush in cash, you can take advantage of it. And you have to keep an open mind in terms of asset class. Like, the correction I think that's gonna happen is gonna start in commercial real estate. Commercial being large real estate transactions, multifamily, and
Retail
retail
shopping
space.
centers, yeah.
Yeah.
And office space.
And we already know that's happening. That's a ticking
Yep,
time
it's
bomb. We already
happening.
know it. We just don't know when it's gonna pop, right? But the loans in that space is exactly like how the loans were like in 2007 for residential. Okay.
Yeah, so the
And-
opportunities is in commercial. for sure.
Exactly. And so the question now is, okay, when that does happen, if you have the cash to take advantage of it, do it, number one. But then number two, how will that affect the other markets below that? I mean, the other types of asset classes below that, you know? And if it does affect residential real estate, then take advantage of it. But if it doesn't, know that you should be playing in commercial to begin with. You know? So yeah, like if you just focus on one asset class, then you're gonna miss out, you know. But if you review like the last 15 years, even there's a lot of asset classes that went up and down that if you just kept your eye on residential, you wouldn't have seen it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, to keep it. So that's all. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Like Nick always, I think because you so many years in real estate, like your view, your point view is very high level, and it just helped me zoom out a lot of the time. You know, like, and that having that perspective, and then not only real estate, but also like it's kind of a business.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can buy business for cheap. You can, buy crypto or whatever, like, because your game is about making money without doing anything.
Yeah.
That's why you look at all of these venues where you can just hang out with your kids and the money, should keep, making itself. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell
you
us,
so
Nick,
much.
where are you focused right now so that we can go along with you for the ride?
He still
You know-
didn't say it. See?
I know, that's why we're trying to get him to say it, right?
Well, no, the thing is, like, I'm not focused on anything. Like, it's like this. It's like when I see something break, that's when I go and do my research, because
Mhm.
you can't time when it's gonna break.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying? You can't
Mhm.
time it. Like, I mean, rates are so high right now for residential space and commercial, yet things still haven't broke, right? And I do agree, like, no one wants to give up their low interest rate mortgages. I agree with that because it doesn't make sense to. But
Right.
every property I've bought to date has been a property that someone was losing. And when I say the word lose, what that means is that it's not their choice that they're losing it.
Mhm. Right.
You know, it's not like, oh, I want to give up this property because it has a high mortgage. No, they're losing it. You know, they're behind on payments. Their tenants are bad. Something else is causing the problem that they don't have control of. So, but that market is very competitive right now, because every homeowner or everybody that wants to buy a house is willing to overpay for a house right now, and still to this day. The job market is also great right now. I mean, job growth was reported last Friday. It was higher than expected. And because of that, the Fed's going to keep rates high, right? And the stock market went, I think, up because of that. So we're still at a good time, but it's like there's also this saying, and that saying is if you review all the market crashes, the big market crashes in the last like 100 years, they normally happen after an election.
Mm.
And it makes you wonder, like, why does it not happen before an election? And when I mean before, like I would say the year before or 2 years before. I think the reason why it doesn't happen before is because if I was a Republican, for example, and I only have a year out before the next election comes, and the market crashes and it's all over the news, are you gonna vote for a Republican?
No, yeah, it's very political. Yeah, so whichever administration is currently running is going to maintain the status quo.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I believe something will, I think we'll see
Happen
more after. Yeah, I think we'll see something because they need that window of time to kind of like recoup stabilize the game,
So whoever's coming in after is going to look like the bad guy, right?
Exactly. and in a way they want to hand the bomb to the other guy.
Yeah, there's always a bomb to hand over.
But we're talking literally now. I mean, there's a couple bombs going on right now, but anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. But you can't play but we can't, like, these kind of conversations you really can't normally have, because then it becomes like a political talk, and then it's conspiracy too, right? But so for me, I would say you can always make money. If, like, whatever you're doing, try to figure out how to, if it makes money, try to figure out how to scale it. And then if you can scale it, then try to build something that you can take public or franchise or sell, because that's the next to me, that's the next level to scaling. And if you cannot do any of that, ask yourself why. Is it because the market's changing? Is it because the like either prices are too high, the opportunity, the prices are too high, or people aren't buying? And then if prices are too high, you have to ask why are prices too high, meaning opportunities, why are opportunities so high? And if the opportunities are cheap, then ask why people aren't buying. And if people aren't buying for whatever reason, if it, like, I'll give you an example. When I was buying during the market crash, I bought around 2011, 2010. I was buying 5 families for only $20,000 to $30,000 a door. And they were paying $1,000 a month in rent. And I couldn't sell these things to people. Like I had like bus tours to see these investment opportunities, and I couldn't sell them. If you do the math, these properties were making $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. And it was $20,000 a door.
Wow.
Okay. That's more than like 50% return.
And you still couldn't sell it.
And I still couldn't sell it. And so that's why it goes back to that, what we were saying earlier about it's too good to be true. And if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. That's not a real statement. Okay. That's not a real statement to follow. You have to do the math. Okay. If you do the math, you'll see that it is true. Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's say you should assume, and if you want, you can still assume that it's not true. And if you assume it's not true, what do you believe? Maybe it's only $500 a door. Okay, fine. If it only makes $500 per month per door, right? Do the math. It comes out still to be $6,000. That's still a 25% return. And take the risk.
Why weren't you able to sell them? What was going on during that time?
What I've learned is that there's a very small pool of people that one will believe what they see. Okay. And so that's number one, because it was too good to be true. They didn't believe it. And then number two, even when you do the math, they don't believe it. Okay. And then I think the real reason, so number two is, even when you do the math, they don't believe it. And the real reason is they're scared. They're scared to do it alone. That's why I was asking Sophie early on, like, how did she start in Oklahoma? And based on my conversation with her, she said that her first transaction, it was an $8,000 purchase that she did with Son. And at the worst, they were gonna each lose 4, but they ended up making 4 and they split that, and then they did it again and again and again. And so what I got from that was the amount of capital that they were going to lose was a number that was small enough for them to be okay with losing. And that's how they got started. So if you want to remove someone's emotions, seek opportunities that are not just financially make sense, but the cost of capital to get involved is a small enough number where it's okay for them to lose.
Yeah, or
And then you can level them up.
to them, like to those people. So like when we try to talk to investor for them to invest in syndication, it's like $50,000 to get in, right? And there's people it's like, okay, $50,000 okay to to lose, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
And there's people that $50,000 is everything.
A lot. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's also depend on the person that you talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will tell you that I've learned that so I've raised money ever since like 2010 to, no 2012, around there. I started raising money in 2012, and I've learned that if you start with a smaller number, you'll get a lot more people involved. And so to me, a small number is about 25. I've met people that have raised like even from people 10,000, 15,000. To me, there's a number where it's too small, and because it's too small, it's a lot more management. But based on what I'm hearing as well, because I never realized this, I never realized that raising at a smaller number would get more people involved, or that was the real reason why people were scared. It's not that they didn't have the money, they were just scared to lose it. Is what we're talking about. Yeah, so I think that's why they didn't get involved. It's because they were afraid to lose it, the amount of money that I was presenting. And every deal that I presented, like I even did a bus tour to Philly. In Philadelphia at the time, I was buying deals in Philadelphia for like about, I would say, $30,000 to $50,000 a door, and they would resell after renovations for like 125 to 150, and I would be all in on these things for like 80 grand, but people wouldn't do it. People wouldn't do it. And you can rent them out for $1,000 a month. And that same area that I invested in today, those units are 400 to 500,000 a door. Yeah,
that's amazing.
okay. Yeah.
Well, this was really fun. I know that you have time with your kids, right?
Yeah, I got 20 minutes. Don't worry. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I actually got to learn something too, so I really appreciate it.
We learn a lot from you, and it's always great to catch up, so to see what you're up to.
Absolutely.
And to learn your perspective, always really helpful.
Oh, anytime, Sophie.
Thank you, Kathleen, for participating.
Thanks, Nick, for your information.
Oh, thank you.
Any question, guys?
Yeah, you guys have any questions?
Nhất Không, are you here?
Yeah, hi everyone. This is my first time joining this the talk. Yeah, I tried to join the previous time, but yeah, I was busy with the baby too. So I just have a question for you, Nick Tang. like you talk about the people who have the little money and they have a big fear of losing the money, right? So may I ask what was how did you overcome that when you did your first deal?
Yeah, so because I was going to college when I did my first deal, and typically college kids don't have any money. And so because I had no money, I had to figure out how to make money with no money, meaning I started off with wholesaling real estate. I was introduced to it by a classmate. I didn't think it was real. And I saw his life change over the period of like 3 months, 6 months, because I had classes with him. He was living at his parents' house. He drove a beat up car. So did I at the time. And then next thing you know, he's driving a brand new car and he moved to a luxury apartment in such a short period. I was like, and at the time he was also trying to get me involved with him because he wanted me to help him do the business. And I didn't believe it. But once I saw his life change, I'm like, yo, what did you do again? How did you do this? And he told me everything. And then I gave it a shot and it worked. And I will tell you, like my largest wholesale transaction that I've done, this is where you lock up a house under contract and then you just sell the contract. You don't even buy the house. My largest wholesale transaction is 150,000. Okay. That's my largest wholesale fee. And that was something I did 15 years ago, 15 years ago. But I have friends that are wholesaling way bigger transactions. They're doing apartment complexes. And like I said earlier in the presentation, I have a friend that wholesaled a storage facility in April, and he made 500,000 on that. And so wholesaling is a like people look down at wholesaling because it's like a broke man's way of making money in a way, but the reality is all the secrets is in wholesaling, because when you find a deal that someone's willing to pay you $500,000 for, that tells you a lot. What does that tell you? That tells you that that deal is actually a really good deal, because no one would pay that unless it's a good deal, and to me, wholesaling is an art that everybody should get into, because it's really the art of finding great deals. It's not the art of making money with no money. It's not just that. It's the art of finding, and then as you get into it and you master it, you start doing what's called finding great deals into making great deals. So that's how I would do it. If you don't have that much money or you don't want to lose the amount of money you have, start with wholesaling. I even tell people that are my friends that are rich that want to get into real estate. I'm like, guys, I know you guys have the money, but I recommend if you could just put that money aside and start with wholesaling, because it's an art of perfecting your eyes and perfecting your ability to communicate with sellers to cut a great deal.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I'm relatively new to the field, so could you elaborate on like how can we join the wholesale? Like, do we?
How do you learn it?
Yes.
Do you understand what it is first? Like, do you understand the concept of it? It's kind of like this. It's kind of like, let's say you found somebody that's selling a house.
Yes.
That should in an area that's where all the houses are worth $1 million. Okay, so all the houses in the area are for sale for $1 million, and somehow you found this seller, and this seller is like, he wants to sell it to you for 500,000, which is a great deal, right? Now you don't have 500 to buy it, so you get a purchase and sales agreement, and you write up an agreement with them saying that you're gonna buy it from them for 500,000, okay? And if you need proof of funds, you can just call any hard money lender. They will issue you a proof of funds to buy that property. Some of them will charge you like $50, $100, $200 for that. A lot of them won't. But once you get that, you can show them that you have the money to buy, right? And then on the sales contract, you have to do one of two things. You have to either put your name as the buyer as an LLC buying it, or you put the words and or a sign after your name as the buyer. And once you sign that contract with the seller, now you have control of that house. No one else can buy it but you. From there, you go to the local real estate club, or talk to your friends and family. Maybe they'll buy it. But if no one wants to buy it, go to the real estate club, talk to people there. And if it's really worth $1 million and you have the right to buy it for 500, someone's going to buy it from you for 50,000, 100,000, maybe $200,000 more, depending on how much work it needs. And then you'll just make money all through paperwork.
Okay, so we have to do it quick, right? Like,
No, you don't have to do it quick. You can ask for the world, meaning like if you meet the right seller, right? They don't care how fast you have to do it. I've gone, I would say 60 days, 90 days to make it happen.
wow.
So it's not that it has to be quick at all. I also wholesale transaction from the MLS, like through realtors. Same thing. I would ask, like I used to, back in 2010, 2011, when the market was flush for properties, I would put properties on MLS under contract, and I would ask them for 30 days of due diligence. And so in a way, I have 30 days to find a buyer that wants to buy from me for more. And if I find somebody, then I transfer them the rights to the contract and I charge them a fee for it. And if I don't, I just tell them that I don't want to move forward with the deal within the 30-day window, and they give me my money back. And the money that I'm talking about is when you work with sellers directly, it's called earnest money. And when I work with sellers directly, it's $10, $100, $1,000 at most. But when you work with realtors, it's typically like $1,000 to $5,000. But if you do your paperwork correctly, you can always get it back. So there's really no risk. Yeah. You look it up, like look up wholesaling on YouTube. Look up wholesaling in my name, Nick Tang. You'll see me talk about it. It's a real art. You can even do it with cars. You can do it with anything. So it doesn't have to be houses.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Any other question, Chloe?
Yeah. Hi, Nick. Thank you, Nick and Sophie, for a wonderful opportunity to chat about real estate. Yeah, I just have a question. So, Nick, do you own any residential property right now? And what is the biggest residential property that you own? Like how many doors in that property? Yeah.
Recording in progress.
So I personally own over 100 doors. But those are like single family to five units and down. And then I'm involved in some syndications as well, which is like 200, 300 units. But like it's really interesting. Like I'll give you an example. Let's say you have no money, right? You can still get involved in syndications. You can just raise money for a syndicator. Okay, meaning you can find somebody that has an opportunity that you like, and then you raise money for that opportunity. And you have to be involved or be invited in as a GP to get what's called equity in the deal without having to put up money. Do you follow what I'm saying? So there's many ways to get involved in the game without having to do all the work or put up money. It's just kind of like you have to ask yourself, what can you do? What do you want to do? What can you do? And then who's going to give you permission to do that game that way and do it? So for me, I got involved in the game of raising money for people that I thought had good deals. And that's what I did. And I'm involved in syndications that way. I don't want to find a deal. I don't want to manage a deal. I just did what I knew how to do, which was connect people. Did I answer your question?
Yes. And also another question is that you said that the bigger the higher value the property is, the harder it is to sell. Is that what you say?
The higher value of the property, the bigger. I don't know. I don't
No.
remember saying that.
Oh, you said you have trouble selling like a five family or something?
Oh no, that was back when, that was a story of when I was selling properties, period, in 2010. What happened was in around 2010, 2011. See, real estate, the real estate bubble in 2007, 2008 popped, and real estate properties that had mortgages in them at like 600,000, 700,000 didn't deflate until 2011. And once they deflated, like it was a property that was at one point had a mortgage of 600, now the mortgage is 100, but people wouldn't buy them. And Kathleen was asking like why, and what I was saying was that it had nothing to do about the how big or small a deal was. It was more like, for whatever reason, people didn't buy it. And the three reasons I thought was, okay, one, I forgot the first reason, but the second reason was they didn't know how to do the numbers. And the third reason was they were afraid to act. So it wasn't that it was hard for me to sell it to the retail market, but investors wouldn't buy, wouldn't get involved. And I think it has to do with more with fear of acting, getting involved, than actually money.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, I think we got everyone. Anyone else have a question, or we could end the call right here? And thank you so much, Nick. It was
No
such
problem.
a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you, Son, Nick. You guys on the car right now. Thank you, Catherine, Nhật Không, and Chloe.
Hey, Sophie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Sophie and
Sophie.
Son.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nick. Thank you,
Bye,
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll
Bye.
see you again.
Yeah. Good night. Good night,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Night, everyone.